The year is 2025, and you have now decided that you want to start playing Maplestory. Whether you are a new player, a returning player, or somebody who has never heard of Maplestory before, one thing that is for certain, this game has changed a ton from what it used to be. And as of recently, I've seen a lot of new players joining Maplestory and trying to figure out all the new things that come with the game. And let me tell you, from what I've seen, Maplestory is quite difficult to pick up as a new player. So in this video, we're going to be going over absolutely everything that you need to know as a newer player in Maplestory to get yourself started and get yourself enjoying the game. Now, don't worry if you're too confused when you start playing. Absolutely everybody always is. But as you pick up a few things from this video, it will absolutely help your progression and help you understand everything that you need to know to fully progress in Maplestory. So when you get onto Maplestory for the first time ever, you're going to notice a blank screen with a bunch of ghost characters. I would recommend playing in the Chronos server, as this is the most populated server in Maplestory GMS. So if you are looking for a higher populated server, Chronos is going to be the server that I absolutely would recommend. So what you want to do is you want to go to create character, and well, you want to create your first character. A lot of people are joining now for the new Tanjiro event, but you do not have to choose this character. You can choose any character that you absolutely want to. And one thing to understand is that don't worry too much about the first character that you choose. The one great thing about Maplestory is that everything that you do in Maplestory will progress your overall account. So don't feel like you're ever wasting any time in Maplestory, because I assure you, you absolutely are not. And one good tip that I would recommend to anybody who is trying to figure out what class they want to play is, well, just go on YouTube and look at other people playing this class. And if you don't really know what you even like at all, just go and pick whatever class you want to play that looks cool on the character creation screen. One thing that I will say is, depending on the character that you pick, each character has its own unique storyline. Some characters are more confusing than others, and some characters are just straightforward. So if you want a straightforward class, you can always just go with the safe route and create an explorer. So once you create your explorer class, you're going to select your key settings. I always recommend going with the basic key settings because I think it's most simple in Maplestory. And once you create your character, you're just going to get a bunch of text that you can pretty much just skip through. Don't worry about reading anything. And if you want to read all of it, be my guest. So once you've created your character and you've now spawned in, you are going to be put into a selective map depending on whatever class you pick. If you did pick up Explorer class, you are going to spawn in Maple Road, but if you picked any other classes in the game, they're going to put you at different starting points. But every single class in the game is going to have some sort of storyline that you do follow that'll allow you to get to level 30 within the game. But first, before we start doing that storyline, let's get a few things in order and get a few things figured out. At the bottom here is going to be your hotbar, where you can put different kind of buffs, potions, or whatever you want to. At the bottom right of your screen, you can collapse it or expand it. And then you are also going to have a key binding settings. Now, this is going to be the most important thing that you do starting off in Maplestory, and that is going to be taking your interact/harvest key and putting it on the key Y. Now, the reason why you want to put it on Y is because it allows you to pretty much spam through all the dialect in the game, and you can pretty much press Y to interact with any NPC and then also accept quests extremely fast in the game. So make sure you do that when you spawn into the game. Also, you are going to have potions, and you're going to have a mysterious cryptic gift box. You can open that gift box and it's going to give you a pet that you can double click to put on, and you can put these potions on whatever key you want to. I usually always go with like delete or end or page down. And then I want to speed run here real quick and just go over a few keybinds and what they do. So on Q, you're going to have your quest log that is going to open up whatever quests you have active at the time, so it can kind of help you navigate through some certain things and let you know what you need to do. W key is going to be your world map. You don't really need to worry about this too much right now as you're doing the intro quest, but when you are going to navigate through the world map, you're going to have a drop down over here, which you can drop down and select different regions in the area, or you can just right click, or you can left click to zoom in on certain points in the Maple world. So if I want to go to Victoria Island, I'm going to left click here. and I can go and select different areas in the maps. But one thing that you do need to be aware of is that you are going to need a hyper teleport rock, which can be purchased in the cash shop for misos in the game. And the cash shop is going to be located at the bottom right, and you'll just enter into it. And essentially the way that you want to navigate around it is you're going to have different tabs on the left side: main, event, enhance, game, outfits, beauty, pets, packages. You can always search whatever you want to. So for example, if I am looking for a hyper teleport rock, I can just type in hyper, make it easy for myself, and then I'm going to get different options of hyper teleport rocks from 7 days to 3 days to 1 day, and I can just purchase them. And I will need miso to purchase them. Obviously some things you can buy with NX, but that is for a different time and a different video. This is how you navigate through the Maple world, and you can go to different regions wherever you want to go, but it will come into play later on. E is going to be your equipment tab. Again, don't really have to worry about this too much because you're not going to be getting any equipment at this point. But if you were to have equipment, all you really need to do is double click it to put it on and double click it to take it off. You're going to have your use tab, etc tab, setup tab, cash shop tab, and your equipment tab is obviously going to be where items that drop from mobs are going to spawn in. And then your use tab is going to have all your usable potions, attack pots, things like that. And your etc tab, it's not really super important. It's just going to be stuff that drops from mobs that you can usually just NPC. And then you're always going to spawn in with your control button being your attack and your alt being your jump. Now you can configure this however you want to. Some players play with jump on space. I always personally play with jump on alt, but you can do whatever you want to do at this point. So now that we know all these things, what you're going to do is you're going to go through whatever intro quest that is at your starting point in the game, and you're going to get yourself to level 30. There is most likely going to be an NPC that you can talk to. For me as an explorer, it's going to be Sugar. For other people, it's going to be different NPCs, but essentially you're just going to click on that NPC and they're going to guide you all the way to level 30. And then also, once you level up to level 10, you're going to be met with a skill tab, which is going to be a default on K. You're going to be able to unlock your level 10 job advancement skills, and essentially you're just going to upgrade these as you go through the storyline, and it's going to allow you to kill mobs faster and move around the map faster. So now once you get yourself to level 30, you are going to select whatever job you want to become. Now if you selected Explorer, you can go with whatever you want to, whether it's a warrior class, thief class, mage class, bowman class. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to go with whatever it is. And like I said before, whatever class you decide to pick, you're going to be spawned into different areas in the Maple world. So now once you have selected what class you want to play, you are going to notice that you have different skills in your skills UI tab. Now this key is going to automatically be on K. You're just going to open it up by pressing K, and you can upgrade these by pressing the green arrow and clicking OK. Every time you level, you are going to get skill points that you can put into these certain skills, and you can max them as you level up through the Maple world. On top of these skills, you're also going to be getting ability points. Now this key is going to be on S by default, and when you click it, you are going to be met with this screen. But if you press detail, it is going to drop down this entire stat bar. So let's just go through this real quick and what this really is. Every class has a main stat and a sub stat. For me right now, I am a warrior class, so strength is going to be my main stat, and then dex is going to be my sub stat. You don't really have to worry about this too much, especially in the early game of Maplestory, but every time you level up, you're going to get 5 ability points, and what you're going to do is you're just going to click on auto assign, and it is going to auto assign it to whatever your main skill is. So just put it to strength there, and then down here is going to be a little bit more detailed information. Like I said, you don't need to worry about this at all right now. All you need to worry about is leveling up as fast as possible. One pro tip in Maplestory is to use your enter key. I cannot tell you enough the amount of times that I see people when they are clicking and then they'll just go to click OK. Just click it, press OK, click it, press OK. It's going to make things a lot easier, and it's going to make things more efficient for you and just less of a hassle to go and click around with your mouse as much. So use your enter key to upgrade things. So you get to level 30, and that is going to unlock your second job advancement. Again, same thing. You're going to be met with new skills here. And really what I always recommend people doing is just putting one skill into each of these and keybinding these new skills to wherever you feel fit. I always like to put my main attack on Z or X, but again, that is all personal preference. Don't really worry about where you put your keybinds. That's all personal to you. But when you get to level 30, especially as a new character, what is the best way to actually level up in Maplestory? And that is going to be by these theme dungeons. Okay, so you're going to be met with a few theme dungeons along the way, and you can go and pretty much participate in these theme dungeons, and these should take you pretty much until like level 70 or until your third job advancement. So you just want to go through these different theme dungeons in the game, and the reason why these are so good is because as a new player, you're going to be very weak in Maplestory, and you're not going to be able to one-shot a lot of mobs earlier on. So you just want to go through these different theme dungeons. Now, if you also get lost at some point in Maplestory, there is going to be a guide, and this is auto assigned on your U key. So if you double press the U key, if you press it once, you're just going to be met with this spot, and then if you press it again, it's going to open it up into this guide right here. Now this guide is great because it gives you different places to train at different levels. As you can see, level 30 through 59, it's going to have your theme dungeon, and then it's going to have different mobs that you can go at within these level ranges. What I recommend for all new players is that you just go to the theme dungeon and allow the theme dungeon to guide you through the early game of Maplestory. Okay, so take these theme dungeons and allow yourself to progress through these theme dungeons. You're going to get different gear along the way. As you can see right here, I just got my job advancement, and I got a new sword, which I'm going to equip, and I got a new overall, shoes, and medal. Again, you can just equip these by double tapping them, and then these are going to make you stronger throughout the journey. Now, if you also need a guide on where to train, like I said, you can either look at the guide in-game in Maplestory, or you can go on YouTube. We have a lot of training guides, which I will link in the description below, but following this guide is a very good place, especially for newer players. So now that you have progressed through the game quite a bit more, and hopefully you have followed some of these main quests in the game or some of these theme dungeons, you are now going to be met with a bit higher level. Okay, so let's just say now you're sitting at around level 140. You're going to unlock something new, and that is going to be hyperstats. Okay, so these hyperstats are going to be an extension from your overall character info, and essentially these are going to be able to give you different stats that are going to be good for bossing, mobbing, allow you to get crit rate, whatever the case may be. What I would always recommend people to do is try to get as high of crit rate as possible if you're able to. And then the other thing that's going to be great for newer players is going to be upgrading your damage, critical damage, and normal damage. You don't need to worry about boss damage, ID, any of that stuff too much right now as you are progressing through the early game. Another thing that is going to be new is you're going to be met with new hyper skills here as well. As you progress through your character, new skills will unlock all the way up to level 190, and you're going to get a passive skill tab, which is going to give you damage passively through this. And then you're also going to get a new active skill, and these are going to be new skills that you can actually bind to certain keys, whether these are buffs or attacks, and you can go through again and bind these to certain keybinds. And at this point now, you're probably up to 4th job, and again, same thing goes as when you were 2nd job. You're just going to go through, max these skills, and put these on your respective keybinds, and just continue progressing through the game. Now, you might be met at some point in the game where you are now starting to lack in damage. Now, there's a few ways to gain damage in Maplestory, but the most important ways that you're actually going to gain damage in Maplestory is going to be through starforcing and through potentials. Now, potentials are going to be those bottom lines under all the stats on your equipment, and you're going to have your rare, epic, unique, and legendary potentials. Now, some items will drop with potentials, and some items will not drop with potentials. So, for example, I have this Pencilier helmet right here, and it has a red outline. What that means is that this is an item that dropped with potential, but you have not yet revealed the potential. So, the way that you're actually going to go about revealing the potential is clicking on this little magnifying glass icon here. You're going to click it, and then you are going to click on your item, and then you're going to reveal the potential. Now, items can come 2-line and 3-line. Obviously, you want to hope that you get lucky and get a 3-line item, but if you don't worry about it too much, especially early on. It's not going to matter too much. But for example, if your item does come at 2-line, you can make it a 3-line item. And the way that you're going to do that is by using a potential snap. There are 2 separate potential snaps in Maplestory. One is the silver potential stab, which is a 50% success rate of going from 2-line to 3-line, and one is a gold potential stab. And the way that you're going to go about using this is just double clicking that item there, and then you're going to click on the item. So it worked, and now it is 3-line. And the way that you actually get these two items is literally only through drops from certain mobs in the game. As you continue training through Maplestory, you're going to get a lot of these drops. Obviously, at first, these potential scrolls and these potential stamps are going to be very scarce, and you're not going to really see a lot of them dropping. So don't worry too much if your items have potential or don't have potential. It's not going to make or break your character's progression. Each tiers of these potential are going to give you a higher ceiling of stats for your character. For example, at rare, you're going to get up to 3% stat. At epic, you're going to be able to get up to 6% stat. At unique, you'll be able to get 9% stat. And at legendary, you will be able to get 12 to 13% stat. Now, you don't need to worry about this too much as a newer player because you're probably not going to have a lot of cubes to actually work with. Now, cubes are going to be obtained through bossing, and they're also going to be obtained through just killing mobs. Sometimes you're going to find that you'll get lucky and you'll get a occult cube to drop, and you can use that cube to re-roll that potential. So just to give you guys an example of what this is going to look like, as you progress through Maplestory and kill mobs, they're going to drop these cubes called mystical cubes. Now, these aren't going to drop super commonly, but that's okay. These cubes can only go up to epic tier. So essentially how these work is you're going to click on that cube and you're going to drag it over to the selected item. Now, every single cube is going to cost you mesos to reroll, and when you reroll it, it is going to reroll the potential. Now, what you want to aim for is getting your main stat on whatever piece of equipment you can get. But like I said before, don't worry about rolling these potentials on super early game items. I would save these to use for like pencilier items and things further on in the game. Now, as well as mystical cubes, there is going to be a cube shop which you can access through the quick move UI, and essentially how you want to do that is click on quick move, and then you are going to be met with a ton of these different interfaces here, but you want to click on the cube shop. Now, you're going to be met with a few different types of cubes here: glowing cubes and bright cubes. Glowing cubes, essentially the way that you want to look at this is bright cubes are going to be used to tier items up from rare, epic, unique, and legendary, as they do have a higher tier up rate. And glowing cubes are going to be used on items that are already unique or legendary to obtain the stat needed. So bright cubes are going to be used to bridge your item up to higher tiers, and then glowing cubes are going to be used to roll certain lines that you want. They're going to upgrade your character's stats. I wouldn't worry about this too much, as these aren't going to be used on any of these early game items. These will be used on later on in the game when you get more best in slot items. Now, let's just say you have no cubes at all, but you do want to make some sort of damage gain. So one thing that you can do is you can go and star force your equipment. Now, what is star forcing? Well, it is another form of upgrading in Maplestory, and these are going to give you bonus stats on your equipment. Right here, you can see I have an item that is not star forced by the top. It has 5 stars that are grayed out, and when you star force an item, those stars are going to be filled in, and they're going to be gold stars. And you can see underneath the equipment, it's going to give you plus certain stats. For example, this item is giving me plus 10 strength, plus 10 dex, plus 17 defense, and plus 35 max HP. And every single star on your item is going to give you more and more stats. So how do you actually go about star forcing your items? Well, when you open up your inventory, you are going to see a red hammer here. Now, this red hammer is going to open up this star forcing UI, and it's really simple. All you want to do is drag your piece of equipment into the star forcing UI, and you are going to press enhance. Now, every star is going to give you more and more stats, and the higher star that you go up to, the lower the chance that success rate will become. So you want to make sure that you're always upgrading and enhancing your items along the way, because it's going to allow you to actually one-shot or two-shot mobs as you're training through Maplestory. So you really want to make sure that you are trying to make as much gains on your characters as possible so that you can actually train efficiently through Maplestory. So like I said before, the main goal of your character right now is to just get to level 200, and I'll explain why once we get there. So don't worry too much about all this other min-maxy kind of stuff. Don't worry about getting really good potentials on all your items. As long as you're able to kill the mobs in the areas that you're training in, that's great. just continue training until you get to level 200. Okay, so now once you've reached level 200, you are going to be met with yet another quest, and this is going to be your job advancement quest. And this is really where Maplestory opens up to newer players and gives you a ton of stuff to work on. So you're going to want to go into this job advancement Call of the Urdas, and you're going to want to accept this quest. It's going to bring you to the memory keeper's room, and you're going to go through all of the dialect in this quest to start your 5th job. You're going to be given 3 challenges. One is going to be talk to Athena Pierce, and that is going to be the Bowmaster in Henny's. The other one is going to be killing Magnus, and you're going to be met with the last quest going to Deserted Camp to go and kill a few mobs to finish up your 5th job advancement. So when you finish up your 5th job advancement, you are going to be given a few quests, and that is going to be Urda's request, and that is going to essentially be just killing one Urda that is going to allow you to get what is called an arcane symbol. Now, as you progress through Maplestory, these arcane symbols are going to give you more damage to be able to kill the mobs in the Arcane River, which is going to be a newer map and a newer region for you to train all the way up to level 260. And the best way that you're actually going to be able to obtain any of these symbols is really only going to be through doing your dailies and your weeklies. Of course, these items can drop as well for mobs, but they have a very low drop rate. So the way that you're actually going to be progressing these symbols is going to be through dailies given to you in Maplestory. So before we get into anything else, I actually want to take you guys through the planner system in Maplestory. So to access the planner in Maplestory, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to your keybinds, and you're going to want to look for the planner key on your keybinds. It's going to be a blue key. So for the sake of the video, I'm just going to put it on F9, and then I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to open up my planner. So what you can do here is you can actually set yourself up and set up dailies for you to complete every single day to actually progress your character. So like I said before, you're going to have a lot of dailies to work on to actually upgrade your arcane force symbols. And right here, you're going to have Vanishing Journey. And then obviously I'm a little bit higher level, so I'm going to have my Choo Choo daily as well. So I can select those, and then I can just work on these every single day. Of course, there's going to be a few other things that you can work on as well, and we'll get into that later. But for the sake of the arcane force, this is really going to be the way that you are going to obtain arcane force symbols. And essentially, this is just going to be killing mobs every single day, and you're going to get a select amount of arcane force symbols. As well as the daily content, you're also going to have weekly content to help work on your arcane force as well. And so for example, the level 200 weekly is going to be called Urda Spectrum, and then the level 210 is going to be called Hungry Mudo. So I'm going to select those, and these are also going to give me Urda symbols when I complete these. So for example, if I go and start this Vanishing Journey daily, it's going to take me through a few dialogues here, and it's going to tell me to defeat 400 Vanishing Journey monsters. Now essentially, these can be killed any point in the Vanishing Journey region. So that is going to be this region right here. So any one of these maps you can use to kill these mobs and complete that daily. The weeklies are all going to have their own selective NPCs. So for Vanishing Journey, it's going to be over here, and it is going to be called the Urda Spectrum. So you just talk to it, and then you would start the weekly. And for the reward, obviously, like I had explained, you are going to be getting arcane force symbols for your dailies and for your weeklies, and that's how you are going to upgrade these symbols right here, which are going to give you a ton of damage and also allow you to kill these mobs within these maps. Whenever you hover over one of these maps, it's going to have the arcane force needed to actually kill these mobs. So when you get higher arcane force, it's going to give you a damage bonus over the mobs in these selective areas. But the other thing, and the most important thing that you are going to obtain through getting your 5th job, is going to be your Vmatrix. Now, Vmatrix can be very, very confusing for newer players, but I'm going to try to simplify it the best way that I can. You're going to be met with an entire UI with a bunch of blank spots up here, and this is essentially going to be where your node stones will be. Now, your node stones are essentially going to be your new skills for your 5th job, just like you've gotten in 1st job, 2nd job, 3rd job, 4th job, and now 5th job. But the difference is with 5th job, you can now upgrade these skills manually through farming. And the way you're going to upgrade these skills is by obtaining node stones. And these node stones are going to be obtainable through either mobs, weeklies completed, or through event shops that we get very frequently. So the way that these nodes actually work is every time you get one, you can open up a node stone, and it is going to give you a random skill node, or it's going to give you a random common node. So for example, when I open up this node here, it's going to open up and it gave me a random common node. You can open up them individually, or you can open them up by a selective amount here. So if I open up 10, it's going to give me 10 nodes in total. Now, obviously, these skill nodes are going to be the more rare nodes to get, and these are going to be the nodes that are highlighted with blue, and the common nodes are going to be your boost nodes, which we're going to get into in a second here. But I just want to show you guys how you actually open and obtain different nodes within the Vmatrix. You're going to have 2 separate types of nodes, and that is going to be your skill nodes, and that is going to be your common boost nodes. Now, your skill nodes are a bit simple to understand. These are just going to be your main skills that you get, and these are going to be newer skills that you acquire through 5th job. These are going to give you a ton of damage in your 5th job, and essentially all you want to do is upgrade these as you progress through your 5th job. So the way that you actually go about upgrading these nodes inside the Vmatrix is every time you open up a node, you're gonna get that new node, whether it's a skill node or a common node, put at the bottom down here, which can all be separated with these tabs. But the way that you're going to be actually able to upgrade them is you're going to right click and you're going to go to enhance, and then you're going to have the nodes that you can select here. And the way that makes it super simple is you just go to select all and then enhance it. When you enhance it, it's going to show you the level here, and it's also going to show you the level in your Vmatrix skill tab as well. Another thing as well that I do want to make a point of is when you level up past level 200, every time you level up, you're going to get what is called matrix points. Now, the way that you're going to be able to use these matrix points is you're going to go to slot enhancement. When you go to slot enhancement, you're going to see right here that every single one of these node slots are going to be at level 0. And you can upgrade these node slots by clicking on the node slot and then leveling up that node slot to level 1. Now, you don't need to worry about which node slots you upgrade, because you can always swap around your nodes to different node slots in this UI. So let's just say, for example, I upgraded this top left node slot to level 5, and I had a bad skill in this node slot. So what I can do is I can go here and I can just take that skill out, and I can go and place a new node in that slot that I have at level 5. Don't worry about wasting any of your matrix points. You're going to get a ton as you level up past level 200, but you really just want to make sure that you're upgrading all of your node slots to level 5 as you progress through Maplestory. So now that we've gone over the node slots, the actual nodes themselves, these nodes can go to level 25 plus the slot level, giving you another 5 levels, giving you a maximum level of 30 on every single skill. So for example, the way that this is going to look, as you can see right now, this skill resistance infantry is going to be level 6 right now. Okay, so when I go to slot enhancement, I can see that this slot is level 0 at the moment. So this skill is level 6 and the node slot is level 0. So when I open up my 5th job, I can see here that this skill, resistance infantry, is level 6. And obviously the way that you can level up this skill is going to be through fusing other nodes into it. But you can also level it up through the slot enhancement as well. So when I go back to my Vmatrix and I go to slot enhancement, and I'm just going to level it up to level 5. Before, it showed me that the skill was level 6, but now when I go back into it, it's going to show me that the skill is now level 11, and then in parentheses, it's going to show me that it's plus 5, and that parentheses is always going to be from that node slot enhancement. Now, that's just for the skill nodes, right? But we also have boost nodes to worry about as well, which are going to be these gray nodes. Now, these are going to be a little bit more complicated because these are going to give you skills that passively boost your second, third, and fourth job skills. And you're going to see that there are 3 skills within every single boost node. Now, it's a bit difficult to understand, but essentially you're going to have 3 skills inside of every single boost node. But you want to have 2 of every skill on your Vmatrix. Now, the reason why you want to have 2 is because unlike your skill nodes, your common nodes can actually be leveled up to level 60. 25 from the nodes, and then 5 from each node slot. Skill nodes can only be maxed out at level 30, and you cannot have any dupes of them on the board, but with your common nodes, you can have 2 sets of every single skill, giving you a maximum level of 60. So for example, you can see here this skill is at level 52, whereas these other skill nodes, the maximum level is only going to be level 30. So now that you get that, I'm going to go back into explaining how the common nodes actually work. So for example, these 2 nodes right here, I have swipe, white heat rush, and drill salvo. And then here I have white heat rush, swipe, and drill salvo. It's the same 3 skills, but they are in different order. You can have multiple skills on these boost nodes, but you can't have the same first skill on your common nodes. So for example, if I had 2 common nodes that started with the swipe skill, I could not place 2 of those in the Vmatrix. So that's why in the next node, I have a boost node starting with heat rush, and then underneath that I have the following 2 skills. So essentially what you want to do with your common nodes is you want to have 2 common nodes that will boost the same skills, but you just want to make sure that those 3 skills do not start with the exact same skill. So you want to have them in a different sequential order. No matter the order, it doesn't matter. As long as you don't have the first node starting with the same skill, you'll be able to place 2 of those combinations on the Vmatrix. You will also be able to level these skills 25 times, giving you a total level of 60 total boosts on your common skills. I know it's a little bit hard to understand, but there are a ton of guides on YouTube that go a little bit more in depth, and every single class has a class Discord that shows you what your perfect trio nodes are. But when you're starting off, you don't have to worry about having the perfect node here. Just go with what you can get. Every single node you're going to be able to put on here is going to be a damage boost, so don't worry too much about min-maxing anything on here. So now that we've gone over a lot of just like the basic things to go through, you're at level 200, and what should you do now at this point? Well, there's a few things that you can actually do when you get to level 200. Option A is you can continue training your level 200 character past level 200, but the problem is you're going to probably find that you're going to be a bit weak and you're not going to be able to train efficiently in these higher level regions. So there are a few other options that you can actually go and do, and that is going to be working on your link skills and your legion. So your link skills are going to be located in your beginner skill tab. And what these are going to do is pretty much give you passive stats on whatever character that you have these on. So every single class in Maplestory is going to have their own unique link skill. So for example, I'm on Wild Hunter right now, and this has its own unique link skill called Spirit of Freedom, which essentially is just an iframe when you die. It doesn't really matter, it's not important, but just the importance of understanding is that every single character or class in Maplestory is going to have its own unique link skill that you can then link to other characters. So I already have a lot of these done, obviously, so I'll just show you what a few of them do. So for example, this link skill comes from Kana, and it is level 2 link skill, and when I have it equipped, and the way that you want to equip it is you want to go to link and then just press OK, and it's going to now give me passive stats. But this link skill in particular is going to be giving me 10% damage. The one underneath this, Alvin Blessing, this is going to come from Mercedes. This is going to give me 20% EXP. The way that I'll equip it, same way, just equip it in there. And you can go through and create these characters on your entire account, which are going to give you pretty much free passive stats that you don't need any miso for to actually upgrade. Now, certain link skills have certain maximum levels. As you can see on here, some link skills are level 2 and some link skills are level 3. So when you get to level 60, you're going to unlock level 1 link skill. So for example, if I wanted to work on this Demon Avenger link skill, right now it's level 3, but if I wanted to work on it, I could go and get a Demon Avenger to level 60, and then I would have the level 1 Wild Rage Link skill, which would give me 5% damage. If I wanted to get a level 2, I could get it to level 120, and then it would be giving me a 10% damage passive when I have it equipped it on the character that I want to work on. Now these are really good because as you continue progressing your character or your account through Maplestory, it's going to get easier and easier for every single character that you create. And what I mean by that is when you go and create new Link characters, you can go and put these Link skills on that character, which is going to speed up your progression and allow you to just kill mobs faster and make that character as quick as possible. So the way that I always recommend people working on Link skills is getting all your Link skills to level 1 first, which is going to be level 60 on all those mules, and then once you've done that, you can go back and you can get them all to level 120. Now of course in Maplestory there's always events going on, so sometimes you'll get these passes called Terra character burninators, and essentially what this is going to be an extra 2 levels every single time you level up. So pretty much every level that you gain is going to be 3 levels. So a lot of people, what they'll do is wait for events to work on their Link characters, and they'll use these Terra burninators on those Link characters. Essentially it doesn't change anything that happens with your progression, but it just gives you extra levels throughout, and also gives you a lot of items that you can get that are going to make your progression a lot quicker, which is going to make things a lot easier. For example, your first character is going to take a ton of time to get to level 200, but as you become more and more progressed in the game, it's only going to take you like 45 minutes or even less to get a character to level 120 or 200. So like I said earlier, you have a few options when you get to level 200, and that was option number 2. But the other option is that you can work on your Legion. Now, what is Legion? Again, Legion is going to be kind of the same concept as Link skills. It's going to give you passive stats on your entire account. So certain characters are going to have their own stats that they're going to give just through leveling up. So for example, Adele is just going to give me a flat 100 strength. There's going to be other characters on here that are going to give you really good stats. For example, Shade is going to give you 6% crit damage. Hayato is going to give you 6% crit damage. So one thing to also note as well is these member bonuses are going to give you certain amounts of stats depending on the level of that Legion character. So for example, as you can see, you're going to see SSS above some of these characters, and that's because they're level 250, which is essentially the maximum level you can get for a Legion character, and that's the maximum level that you'll get for these member bonuses. Once a character gets to level 200, it's going to become SS, and when your character becomes level 140, I believe, it's going to be S, and then you also have the A rank as well, and then you're also going to have your B rank. So when you see that this character is giving me 6% crit damage, that's because that character is giving me 6% crit damage, or because it's tier SSS. That character will give crit damage the second that you're able to put it on the Legion board, but the higher the tier of that Legion character, the higher that member bonus will actually scale. So what's really nice about this is as you work on these Link skills, you're also going to be passively working on Legion. Now, the way that Legion works is when you start off, you're only going to have this little block to work with, and as you continue to level up more and more, you can rank up your Legion level and your Legion rank, and that is going to allow you to expand this grid and get more and more pieces on this grid. So pretty much you just go and assign members onto this grid, and you can pretty much put them wherever you want to. Especially at first, it's not going to matter too much because you just want to get members on this grid. But like I said before, the thing that's really nice with this is that you're going to get the bonuses from the characters that you make, but then you can also put them onto this board to get extra stats as well. So for example, if I go and make a Demon Avenger Link skill, which is going to be giving me passive damage %, which I can equip in the Link skill tab, I can also gain the 5% boss damage that it's going to be giving me as a Legion member bonus. And then on top of all of that as well, I can put it on my Legion board, which is also going to give me different grid bonuses. So as you can see, I just put that Demon Avenger onto the board, and now it's giving me 3% crit damage on top of everything. So you're getting a ton of passive stats by working on new characters inside of Maplestory. So if I were to just go and create a Demon Avenger right now, I would get the I would get the link skill, which is going to give me the percent damage passive. Then it's also going to be giving me the percent boss damage passive from the Legion bonus. And then I would also be getting the grid bonus for wherever I put it on the Legion grid. Now, obviously, when you're newer to the game, you're not going to be able to put it onto this crit damage block, but you can always put it onto the attack. So you're pretty much triple dipping and getting a ton of passive stats for all these characters that you work on inside of Maplestory. Now, the progression route is always going to stay the same for whatever character that you're working on. Obviously, some things will change and some things will be different, but for the most part, you're always going to take the same route to getting to level 120 and 200 and so on and so forth. So now, obviously, once you've gotten to level 200 and you've worked on a ton of links and Legion, what's the next step to actually progressing in Maplestory? Well, you've got a lot of the basic knowledge down and a lot of the foundational knowledge that you're going to need to actually progress efficiently in the game. But when you get to this point and you're now working on links and Legion, you can now start working on getting your best in slot items for this time being. And for the most part, it's going to be very straightforward and very simple. We do have a in-depth gearing guide, which I will also link in the description below. So I'm not going to talk about all that too much in this video, but essentially there's going to be different bosses in the game that are going to give you different gear sets, which are going to allow you to progress through different pieces of content in Maplestory. So if you guys want to go and check that out and see what is the most efficient way to actually progress your gear in Maplestory, that'll be in the link in the description below. But at this point now, really the most amount of damage gain that you can gain is just going to be working on your links and your Legion and trying to overall level up that Vmatrix that I talked about. Now, before I actually wrap up the video, there is one more thing that I did want to talk about, and that was going back to this Maple planner. Now, one thing that you're probably wondering is, how do I actually get any money to actually make some of these upgrades on my future gear? Now, of course, the best way to make money in Maplestory is going to be through farming and bossing, but you're probably not going to be at that point just yet. So a great way that you're going to be able to make money is going to be through the Maple Tour. This is also located in the daily content, which you can select on there as well. And this is going to give you a select amount of miso per day. And if you do it every single day, you can then claim your misos at the end of the week. Now, another really good way is going to be through Ursus. Now, Ursus is going to be located in the quick move UI, and then you can go to the dimensional mirror, and then from there you're going to see Ursus the Mighty. Now you can click on this and it's going to send you to this map. And the way that you're really going to go about doing this is you're just going to go into Ursus, and then you're going to go in there with a bunch of people. You're going to hit the boss, and it's going to give you free miso at the end of the boss. Now, that is a daily piece of content that I would highly recommend that you do. And on top of that, another thing that I would absolutely highly recommend that you do is trying to kill your daily bosses. You're going to have bosses like Zakum, Magnus, Hilla, Pap. You're going to have these other bosses that you might not know what they are just yet, but you will in the future. And then killing these every single day is going to give you certain boss crystals. So I'm going to show you what that boss crystal is going to look like. So when you go in, for example, we'll just say that we're killing normal because that's going to be a daily boss. And a lot of these bosses do have daily and weekly versions of them, but for now we're just going to talk about the daily version. So you'll go in, you'll kill the boss, and then it's going to drop you a crystal. So when you go and you get that crystal, again, you can go to your quick move UI, and then you're going to click on this collector guy right here. And then from there on, you can go to sell all, or you can go to sell it individually, and you can sell that crystal for miso. And again, these are daily crystals that you can do every single week, but you do have a maximum amount of daily crystals that you can sell per week. But I do highly recommend making sure that you are doing this every single day so that you can acquire as much miso as possible. You do end up getting a ton of money overall if you do this stuff daily, and it's going to help you make upgrades on your potentials and your star forcing, and overall make your progression through the game much easier. So now that you've made it to level 200 and you kind of understand all the basics inside of Maplestory, I hope that things are a little less confusing and you have a little bit better grasp of kind of what you have to be doing in Maplestory to progress. The best thing I think about Maplestory is that nothing that you do is ever a waste of time, and there's always a ton of things that you can actually work on, whether it be link skills, legion, upgrading your gear, star forcing, cubing, or just overall training your character. There's always a ton of things for you to be working on in Maplestory, and that's why I think Maplestory is such a great game, because it is like no other. There is always things that you can be working on if you want to. There's always new things that you can go and try to enjoy. So if you made it this far into the video, what I would recommend is going and checking out now one of our other guides on Maplestory, which I'll link also in the description below, because this is going to be going over a little bit more of the mid-game progression. And now that you've understood the basic foundation of Maplestory and what you need to be doing to get your character started off on the right foot, you're probably going to understand a little bit more of those guides. And since I haven't really seen a newer player guide in Maplestory yet, I did want to take some time and sit down and talk about all these little things that might not get talked about too much in Maplestory. But with that being said, guys, I hope you have a better understanding of everything that is going on, and I hope you guys enjoy the journey. With that being said, that is going to wrap up today's video, and until next time, guys, I will see you then. Take it easy. Peace.